clean up those seams, but I don't think it's going to be too bad. Okay, so while I've been waiting for this to dry, I went ahead and started on the masking the clear pieces with the Edward masking set. Thank goodness for these. Now, there's a couple of things that I didn't agree with. They had a mask to do this from underneath for those, but I've looked at my references and other people who built this, and these two rows had to be cut and taken out of there, and I hope I got them straight. They're not perfect, but again, which is precisely why you need the mask. But other than that, these masks fit really well. These on here had to be trimmed and made smaller. And then here, there's one for the middle, and I left it off because I'm going to have to put the gun in there. Other than that, you know, these are all right on. So yeah, this all came out great. I didn't do the ones on the fuselage yet. And then I'll have to think about how I want to do this and mask with those. I may hand paint this and then mask the whole thing. So yeah, this, good. Yeah, and that lands at exactly the right spot. Cool. So now I'm going to work on those seams and then get the wings on, and then get those seams, which are going to require some work, and kind of get it to the point ready to paint this, you know, before I put these on. I've been working on these seams here. So first I went ahead and scraped all that with my number 11 blade, top and bottom. Then with both the medium and the thin, laid it all the way along there, thicker in some spots where it had to go down in there. Again, on both sides, top and bottom. And now I'm going to let all that dry, filled over here a little bit, let all that dry a good 12 hours overnight before I go back and sand that. So while all that dries, I'll start working on those wings and get these clear pieces in there. I had previously painted that the interior green, so now I'll create the lights that go in there with paint and then fit those clear pieces. And here's kind of a after and before on those bombs. So put some super glue in the seams and filled in those connection points because I'm going to have the bombs falling. So that one's cleaned up, and I'll get the rest to that point. Just finished up scribing. So I cleaned up the seam, put the super glue on there, sanded that down, and then with the scribing tools, just connected the raised detail across with scribe detail, and then actually with a circle scribed around that circle. That's a hatch, apparently. I've test fit the cockpit, and that fits like a glove, as does that back, so I'm really happy. Same thing on, you know, basically did the same thing on the bottom. There wasn't much there, but back here, rescribed that detail, and then put that cartridge ejection catcher, I guess it is, put that on there. So I think that pretty much finishes the fuselage. Now I'm going to leave those glass parts off until the very end, and then put those on before I mask for painting. So now on the wings, I painted those two lights on this side. It's not perfect inside there, but good enough. So a silver and a red light. And then the same thing on the other side. There's just a single light there. So now I'm going to fit these clear pieces into there. All right, there we go. Got those lenses on for the lights on the wings. Had to touch up inside there, you know, did a little sanding on each side, touched up inside with the dark green, and then kind of sealed it with the Formula 500 canopy glue. But yeah, I think the lights came through, or, you know, are shining through, so to speak. And I have all these bombs cleaned up as well, so those are ready to go. There we go. I've put the engine cowlings on the wings and then attached the wings to the fuselage, and it actually fit pretty well. That's the Vallejo putty in there, and then I only needed a little bit here and there on the bottom. Let's see. This is one of the ways I check my wings, and not bad. I mean, maybe there's a little bit of sag there, but for the most part, I think it's pretty good. You see all the bits there. I filled in those wing roots inside and kind of reinforced with some bits and the ultra thin the connection points inside there so that they butted right up against those spars. I probably should have showed that. And then was able to kind of douse everything, all the connection points with the ultra thin, and then hold everything together until it melted together. And then came back with the putty and just, you know, smushed that in there and smoothed it out with my finger. And yeah, I think good enough as far as I'm concerned, but yeah, I think that looks pretty good. Okay, I've got everything organized for this next phase of getting ready to paint, and using my stand there, which is supposed to be for 1 to 72 planes, but I'm kind of using it backwards and it works just fine. Now I'm kind of noodling out what order to attach these things and mask, and I think I'll put those bomb racks, I guess they are, those go in there. And then that gun needs to go into that front plexiglass dome on these propellers. So I went ahead and put those engines on, and you know, the way the instructions are, this goes in there so that this attaches to that and they can spin. I'm just going to cut this off and put the peg in there and then just put them in with a peg. So now I'm, you know, just going to attach these last outside pieces, those outside guns. All right, there's the bomb racks inside there. And there's those fuselage guns. So I'm folding these bomb bay doors, and basically what I'm doing is from the inside, I'm going to scribe down the middle, you know, and it bends all the way. And then once I touched it with the super glue, it kind of broke, so to speak, and then the super glue ran down it. So I think this one came out pretty good. And my references show that it is, you know, supposed to be closed like all the way. So I'm going to attempt the same thing here. And you see it's taking up a little bit of styrene. There we go. So kind of while it's hanging on by a thread there. And now, and yeah, did you hear that snap? That's amazing. Yeah, and now it's totally separated, but it has the super glue in between there, which is almost perfectly what you want. So, all right, let that dry. To install this gun in that front canopy, this gun has to be in there kind of at an angle. And I've looked at my references, and you know, basically what I'm going to try to do is attach this bullet canister to the side right where that painted area would be, so that it'll hide the connection point behind there. And I want to do with this, I want to melt the two together just in that spot. So I'll just put a little bit on the gun case there and then touch it to there. And at the same time, I've got the Formula 500 ready to go to then touch where that gun comes out the front, and then let that totally dry before I put it on, and let that all just solidify in place. And then the other thing I'll have to do is poke a hole in that tape for where that gun is going to come through on there. Okay, so touch that ultra thin in that corner, and then there's the white glue holding it in the front. So I'm going to let all that dry. All right, here's the back canopy, and basically glued it in place with the ultra thin, and then Came back around, kind of pushed it into place, and then came back around with the Formula 500 again, slightly diluted with water so it would flow in there to fill any gaps and smooth the transition between the two. So again, I'll let all that dry. And, you know, that bottom one's going to be a little cloudy. I'll live with it. And then I can, you know, mask that one. And then the back should be ready for painting. Proceeding with the masking. So now I've got it on the fuselage windows, as well as these lights, as well as underneath. So, you know, those windows there. Also been going around with both the putty and the glue, the white glue. And just filling in anywhere I see a gap. So around those engine nacelles, I decided those were a little too deep, and just filled them and wiped them off and then let that dry in there, and that's good enough. But yeah, this thing is massive. This is far and away the biggest plane I've ever built. I think the next biggest is those A3 Sky Warriors, but even the presidential planes, this is bigger than that. So this thing is massive. But I'm enjoying working on it. It's a lot of fun. Okay, I just used that bit there and drilled that hole by hand because I wanted to be very careful to stay right in the middle there. So now I can put that acrylic piece in there later with the bombs on it. There we go. I think I've got everything masked. Did all those openings down below and the various windows, and all the windows in the fuselage, that back gun position, that top turret, and inside the engines, and then that top canopy and that front canopy. So I think this is a good place to stop on this video, and next time I hope to get all the paint scheme done, get the primer down and the various coats of paint, and then probably decals and weathering after that. So 1 or 2 more videos and I should be done. So hope you found that interesting, and as always, thanks for watching and happy modeling.